It's kind of amazing how much technology pops up in, well, every conversation about the future these days,
Absolutely.
especially when we talk about tackling those huge global challenges.
For sure.
But, sometimes I find myself wondering how all these different innovations actually connect to something as massive as the Sustainable Development Goals.
Yeah.
It can feel like trying to drink from a fire hose, really. Just so much information.
It really can. And that's exactly what we're trying to get a handle on in this deep dive.
Okay.
We've gone through some, I think, really interesting material to pull out the key insights about tech's role in, you know, pushing the SDGs forward.
Without drowning us in jargon, hopefully.
That's the plan. Keep it focused.
Perfect. So we've got Tech for Tomorrow, which sounds like a great series from DivX and KPMG. It looks like they really dig into how different techs are being used for global development
That's
issues.
right. It's a content series.
And then we're also looking into what we know about the Tech of Tomorrow conference. That's happening next year in Poland, right? Seems like a real hub for innovation over there in Central and Eastern Europe.
Exactly. Poznan, March 2025. So our mission today is pretty straightforward.
Okay.
We want to understand the main ways technology is helping the SDGs
Yeah.
based on that Tech for Tomorrow series.
Right.
And then get a feel for the really cutting-edge stuff being showcased at the Tech of Tomorrow conference.
So connecting the big picture trends with what's actually happening on the ground.
You got it, connecting those dots.
Okay, let's kick off with Tech for Tomorrow. What really jumped out at me from looking at this series was just the sheer range of areas. I mean, where technology is seen as, well, fundamental for SDG progress. They're not just talking about one or two things.
Man, it's broad.
It's like everything from biotech advances to AI, shifting government stuff online, and just, getting more people connected.
Yeah.
It feels like tech is kind of the hidden current beneath almost every part of development now.
That's a really good way to put it. And the series makes a strong case that these advancements aren't just ideas.
Right.
They're actually driving economic growth and, improving people's lives around the world.
Okay.
But what's really interesting, I think, is their focus on a key question.
Which is?
How do we make sure these big tech leaps actually benefit everyone, especially people in low and middle income countries who could easily get left behind?
That's crucial. And it's quite a team behind this series, too, isn't it? DivX, they're known for their solid global development reporting,
They are.
partnering with KPMG, a global, giant.
Right.
It sort of frames it as looking for practical, real solutions for these massive challenges.
Precisely. KPMG brings that analytical muscle, that understanding of global trends, to really look at the potential and the impact of these technologies on development. And the series breaks it down into 6 key areas of digital transformation that they see as particularly important.
6 areas. Okay, let's walk through them. First one is digital government. Now, that sounds like more than just, putting services online.
Oh, definitely. You hit it right there. It's about fundamentally rethinking how the public sector works,
Okay.
using new technologies strategically to push the SDGs forward.
Right.
But, and this is really important, they stress doing it in a way that really thinks about the side effects, on jobs, on social cohesion, even on basic human dignity.
Wow. Okay, so it's not just about being efficient.
Not at all. It's about responsible digital change in how governments operate.
That's a really key distinction. Okay, number 2 is human capital. What kind of tech are they talking about there?
So here, the focus is using tech to boost education and healthcare results.
Right.
The idea is to empower people, help them lead healthy lives they choose, but also give them skills for earning income and, crucially, dealing with things like climate change.
Okay, so like online learning or telemedicine.
Exactly. Think about how online platforms can reach places that didn't have access before, or how remote doctor consultations can bring expertise far away.
Yeah, that makes total sense for expanding access. Okay, next up is renewable energy. Obviously central to the sustainability goal.
Absolutely critical.
Yeah.
Their vision is ambitious, an interconnected energy system
Uh-huh.
delivering clean, affordable energy for everyone, everywhere by 2050.
Wow.
And they emphasize it needs a whole strategy, improving efficiency, massively scaling up renewables, electrifying more parts of the economy,
Right.
and even looking into technologies to capture carbon emissions.
A multi-pronged approach then. Okay, then smart cities, that term gets thrown around a lot. What's the practical angle here for development?
Yeah, it can feel a bit vague sometimes, but
Mhm.
here the focus is on making cities sustainable while still serving growing populations well,
Right.
and doing it with a smaller environmental footprint.
Yeah.
Connectivity and smart infrastructure are the keys.
So give me an example.
Well, imagine sensors in roads managing traffic automatically, or AI optimizing how buildings use energy. That's the kind of smart they mean. High-quality services, less resource use.
Gotcha. That clarifies it. Okay, moving to smart industry. Sounds like changing how we make and use stuff.
Exactly. It's all about shifting to more responsible, sustainable ways of producing and consuming.
Mm.
The series points to things like service-based models think mobility is a service instead of everyone owning a car,
Right.
and big steps in the circular economy, like better recycling tech.
Okay. And the last of the 6 is digital agriculture. That feels super relevant, especially for economies heavily based on farming.
Oh, hugely important. The goal is access for everyone to healthy, affordable food and clean water
Yeah.
while protecting the planet. So this means using advanced tech for sustainable food systems.
Like what kind of tech?
Things like precision agriculture, using data to really fine-tune farming,
Got it.
and making food supply chains much more efficient. It's interesting, they actually feature a chat between the FAO's chief economist and KPMG's global head of agribusiness on this.
That highlights its importance. It's really interesting how linked all these areas are.
Definitely.
The series also mentions a KPMG report, The New Technology Frontier for Developing Economies. Sounds like that goes even deeper.
It certainly sounds like it. That report probably has more detailed analysis, maybe more specific examples for anyone wanting to dig deeper into those 6 areas.
Right.
And beyond those main 6, Tech for Tomorrow also touches on other things, like how tech could really change women's healthcare.
Oh, interesting.
And even a look back at which global dev tech might have been, overhyped or maybe underappreciated back in 2021.
A bit of reflection, too.
Good.
It sounds like a really thorough overview.
It does.
And it's good to hear that strong emphasis on making sure these advances really do benefit everyone, especially in lower-income countries.
Absolutely essential.
Okay.
Okay, so now let's switch gears a bit. Let's look at the Tech of Tomorrow conference in Poland.
Okay.
This is different, right? It's a specific event focused on the absolute cutting edge.
Right. So this is in Poznan, March 2025, and it seems really focused on where blockchain, AI, and the Internet of Things meet up.
Exactly.
Particularly in that Central and Eastern European context. What really caught my eye was their promise of practical, real-world stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking case studies, live demos, hands-on workshops. Their slogan is something like, no fluff, just valuable, actionable insights.
Yeah, I saw that, and that's a key difference, isn't it?
How so?
Well, the Tech for Tomorrow series gives us that broad strategic view. This conference seems much more granular,
Okay.
looking at how these specific technologies are actually being used on the ground in that particular region. Their mission is explicitly to spotlight the innovation coming out of Poland and the wider CEE area.
And the agenda looks pretty packed. They've got separate tracks for business and tech.
Yes, parallel stages, keynotes, panels, the usual stuff. But then also those dedicated workshop stages for the hands-on sessions you mentioned.
So something for everyone, depending on what you're looking for.
Seems that way. It looks like it's designed for different interests and, learning styles.
Yeah.
The business stage seems focused on how innovation's changing sectors, like automotive, government tech, gov tech, the whole CFI-TAFI evolution in finance, new ways of thinking about customer experience, and this idea of economies of things.
Interesting. And on the tech side, what are the hot topics
The
there?
tech stage is tackling some really advanced stuff. Autonomous AI agents,
Wow.
tokenizing real-world assets, RWA tokenization, they call it. So putting property or commodities on the blockchain.
Okay.
Enterprise uses of generative AI, the vital stuff around security, privacy, compliance,
Always important.
and sophisticated digital identity solutions.
Sounds like a deep dive into some seriously cutting-edge technology. The conference highlights also mention networking stuff, right? Side events, matchmaking tools.
Yeah, those elements seem pretty central. Good for fostering connections, collaborations. That business matchmaking tool could be really useful for, say, startups needing partners or big companies scouting for innovation.
Yeah, definitely. I also thought their Innovators of Tomorrow things sounded cool. High school students showing off their tech projects.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a great initiative. gives young innovators a platform, brings fresh ideas to the conference. It shows they're thinking about the pipeline, the next generation.
Good point. They also list clear reasons to attend, seeing those use cases and demos, the workshops, a startup competition, and that matchmaking again.
Exactly. It seems very focused on delivering tangible value, concrete opportunities, not just talk.
Right.
And the speakers they've listed really back that up. The range and caliber seem high.
Yeah, I saw some names. People from Boston Consulting Group, the government of North Macedonia, Denmark's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Bosch, a company called Fetch.ai, Deloitte CEE, Poznan City Lab, Fireware, even CoinGeek. It's a really diverse group.
It is. And those affiliations really show the breadth of topics they're covering. You've got industry, government, research. It suggests a pretty thorough exploration.
So who are they actually trying to get to come to this? Seems like a wide net.
It does. Their target audience covers basically everyone in the ecosystem. Startups, big companies, SMEs, public sector folks, investors, R&D centers. And they actually list specific benefits for each group, which is quite smart marketing.
Yeah, tailoring the pitch makes sense for that kind of audience. They also mentioned different ticket types and side events, a hackathon, Hack of Tomorrow, and an NFT gallery.
Right. Adds another dimension. The hackathon for hands-on problem solving, the gallery exploring, I guess, the intersection of tech and digital art creates a more immersive feel.
So who's actually putting this whole thing together?
It's a team effort. The Polish Blockchain Association is involved, along with Zonda Crypto and the Smart City Lab of Poznan. And their stated mission is all about education, collaboration, and speeding up innovation, especially in blockchain and related tech. Gives you a sense of their focus.
Okay, so let's try and tie these two sources together then.
Right.
The Tech for Tomorrow series gives us that really valuable high-level view why tech is so vital for the SDGs across so many different sectors, the big picture.
And then the Tech of Tomorrow conference seems to offer that much more, granular, boots-on-the-ground perspective.
Yeah.
How key technologies like AI and IoT are actually being used and explored, especially in that Central and Eastern European setting.
Exactly. You can clearly see the links. The broad themes in Tech for Tomorrow, like digital government or smart cities, line up nicely with specific topics on the conference agenda, like GovTech or IoT applications.
So it feels like the conference might actually show the real-world examples, the case studies that bring those bigger ideas from the DVEX series to life.
I think that's a really good way to look at it, especially within that dynamic CEE region.
Right. And remember, KPMG sponsors the DVEX series.
Oh, yeah.
And their global head of agribusiness spoke to DVEX. It suggests a link, right, between the high-level analysis they do and the practical innovations likely being shown at the conference.
Connecting the strategic thinking with the actual doing.
Precisely. Big picture thinking meets on-the-ground advances.
So if we boil it all down, the main takeaway seems to be, well, technology is this incredibly powerful engine for driving SDG progress across just about everything.
Yeah, the potential is huge.
And events like this Tech of Tomorrow conference are really important for actually nurturing the innovation, the collaboration you need to make that potential real, especially in a fast-changing region like Central and Eastern Europe.
Exactly. It really highlights how these big global tech for development trends actually take shape and get applied in specific places, building local expertise, driving real solutions.
It really makes you wonder, though, which of these technologies holds the most promise? Which one could be the real game changer for global development?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Or maybe, how can these regional tech hubs best contribute to the bigger international goals? It's definitely something to think about.
Indeed. And for anyone listening who wants to explore this more, we definitely recommend checking out the Tech for Tomorrow series online and looking up the resources for the Tech of Tomorrow conference.
Good idea.
There's a lot more detail there if you want to continue your own deep dive into this whole fascinating area where technology meets global development.